So I'm playing Rocket Squad Infinity here today. I've actually been pretty excited for this one for a couple days now, ever since I saw it on Keymailer for the first time. I'm a big sucker for sci-fi games, I'm a big sucker for FPS games, and I'm less of a sucker for roguelikes, but I can deal with them. And this game is all three of those, plus a little bit of an extraction element on top of that. I will say right off the bat that this game is not in the greatest state at the moment. It is early access, it's not a full release. I believe it's on version 0.1.1 at the moment, and it definitely shows. There's a couple glaring issues, like pretty horrible performance. I'm running a 6700 XT, Ryzen 5 5600X, and 32 gigabytes of RAM, and even running this game at the current settings that you're seeing right now, medium, with FSR cranked up to balance, I'm only really getting about 40 to 60 FPS when I'm actually in the game. So there are some glaring issues. The gameplay itself is alright. I mean, there's some interesting design choices, but at the end of the day, this is just kind of a first impressions video. You can decide for yourself at the end of this video whether it's something you're interested in picking up or not. I believe it's about $20-ish retail on Steam, so we're loaded up in the game here. There's 4 classes to choose from. I'm playing one of these support classes. I believe it's called the Engineer. You got this little semi-automatic gun. You got a little turret. Of course, classic Engineer trope. Here's our first enemy. These guys are a little bit tricky to deal with. You also got this little bounce pad. Pretty cool. And as I said, this is kind of like a roguelike extraction FPS kind of thing, but there's some really weird design choices. My least favorite of the bunch is, you'll see here in a second when I reload, as you see in the top right there, it says reload, 19 credits charged. Never have I ever in my entire life seen an FPS game punish you for actually FPSing. It's a really strange design choice. I don't know how that got past the boardroom. I don't know how it made it into the game, but here we are today. Whenever you reload your gun, you're charged 20 credits, which is just a really strange design choice. I could understand if this game had more like sim elements where you have to kind of sneak around and choose your shots wisely, but no, everything is just a bullet sponge. You can technically run past these enemies, but I mean, why would I do that? You know, I'm playing a first-person shooter to once again first-person shoot, and that guy just smoked the hell out of me. Already, I won't lie too, I think the balance is a little bit off. I mean, this is literally the second mission I've ever done, and they kind of just throw these enemies at you. There's not really a learning curve. I mean, the gameplay loop itself is pretty simple. You just point and click and you lose all your money from pointing and clicking and then pressing the R button. It's kind of difficult for just starting out. You know, on my second mission, I actually died pretty quickly on my first mission, which I did just a couple minutes ago. There's a couple things you can pick up throughout the map, like this little tall one. I could sell this to a vendor, get my money back. And also, you might have noticed, or you might not have, depending on how often you play FPS games or if you're the type of person to change your FOV. I'm playing with a very zoomed in FOV right now, which is not my favorite thing. If I had to assume, this is probably like 70 FOV that the game defaults to. I'm normally like a 100, 110 FOV player myself, so not a huge fan of that. There's no FOV slider, which just kind of brings home the point that I was trying to make earlier, that this game is very early access. The best way I can describe it at the moment in its current state is that it's a really polished alpha test. Truth be told, I'm not enjoying my time. It's in a pretty bare bones, almost unplayable state with the frame rate issue mixed with the no FOV and the wacky design choices. Probably gonna put the game down after this video, I'm not even gonna lie. So here's a little vendor guy, Nyx. I can sell some of these little tall one statues I got already and just get some of my money back. I got 922 credits. I made a couple hundred credits on my last mission actually, and so far this is literally the exact same tile set, exact same objectives that I just did last mission. I went through that little alien forest, came to this bunker, and I opened this door, the same thing, and then just the same layout. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, the squad mission is to steal the Infinity Quantum Core. Pretty much just doing the exact same thing I just did last mission, which isn't particularly amazing, I can't lie. Also, this gun is kind of wacky. Not a huge fan of this little single target gun. I will say I'm not playing a DPS class. I am playing support, so I guess I can't expect crazy damage. There's also like a melee tank tank class, and then there's another class with a bow and arrow. I don't know what it does though. Didn't really pay enough attention, honestly. These little boxes here, these are like loot boxes. You can just pick up stuff you can sell, you know, so it's very much, I think it definitely leans more heavily into the extraction shooter elements, because at the end of this round, once I grab this Infinity Quantum Core, you'll see that I actually have to extract safely without dying. So it leans a lot more into the extraction as opposed to the roguelike elements for sure. And once again, losing all my money from reloading. I also really don't like, I wouldn't even mind the reload mechanic if it kind of scaled, but I'll actually show you. So if you look in the top right next to my ammo on the dual stream gun, that one on the right is the credit cost. So it's at 21, and you'll see as I shoot, it stays at 21. So whether you shoot one bullet or you expend the whole magazine, you're paying the same amount of credits, which is just a really odd design choice, because why is one bullet the same price as a whole magazine? I don't even know. A lot of things that make me shake my head with this game. Just, you know, I feel bad. I feel kind of bad to an extent, because I did receive this game for free, as I said at the beginning of the video. I got this game from the devs on Keymailer. They sent me a key for this, so I do feel bad, kind of. I've done really nothing but shit on it up until this point, but at the end of the day, I'm a man with integrity, and I'm gonna say what I really think, because the videos I do are meant to give you an idea of what the game is like, and if you should buy it or not, if you should, I mean, at the end of the day, where most of us are spending our hard-earned money on this game. You know, I thankfully, due to the, albeit small, but good enough size of my channel, subscriber-wise and view-wise, I've received quite a few free keys at this point, probably, and there I go, I'm dead. Not like death matters, because you can just revive yourself. The point I'm trying to make is, you need to know, as a buyer willing to spend your own money, you need to know if it's worth your money or not, because not all of us have the luxury of getting free shit. And here's that difficulty spike I was talking about. Like with the gun I have now, this should not be this difficult. It's really a struggle. And I mean, granted, you do get health packs. They take a second to deploy, though. It's not like a stem, and I do have an ultimate ability, which I should be using more often, but I mean, that's an ultimate ability. You can't just spam an ultimate ability, you know. I can't just use it as a get out of jail free card every time I get into a sticky situation like that. Now, once I pick up this core, it's going to give me an objective to extract from this base here, and the enemies are going to get a little bit stronger as well, so I'm going to go ahead do. And if you saw earlier, I actually was able to revive by just paying a small credit cost, which is a really strange design choice to me. That kind of ruins the whole point of like playing an extraction shooter, if you're asking me, you know, is like the dying. That's like half of the gameplay loop of an extraction shooter, is learning like your way around so you don't die. So being able to just revive with credits is really weird to me. I'm not sure. That's another thing. Don't know how that got past the boardroom. Don't know how that made it into the final product. Although I should say this isn't the final. I shouldn't say final product, because this is early access. But I don't know how that made it into the game they launched. Really don't know if this game had any alpha or beta test or anything like that on I don't know if it had any Kickstarter, Discord test or whatnot. I really don't know. I literally saw this game for the first time probably like a week and a half ago on Keymailer, and I threw in my little request there, and they, like I said, they sent me a key, which once again I'm very grateful for. Especially, I'm mostly grateful that I didn't have to pay my own money for this, if I'm being totally honest here. Okay, so now just exit out this door here, and I pretty much just go all the way back to my ship. So the rounds are really short. It's just kind of a weird game, unfortunately. I was pretty hyped for this one because, you know, like I said, I love sci-fi games. I love first-person shooters. I mean, you mix them together, what can go wrong, you know? It's like a match made in heaven for me. But this one just, it really misses the mark in a lot of aspects. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. Unfortunately, it feels like a very polished alpha. It doesn't even feel like it's really in a beta state, and I went the wrong way. It's just not a great game. If I had to give it like a number score off the top of my head, just from what I've experienced in the last 40 or 50 minutes of my playtime, I'd probably have to give it like a 4 out of 10. Only way I'd pick this game up is if it got to like a 0.5 state and it was like $5. I'm not gonna lie here. What I am gonna do is get my ass to this rocket. And also extraction, you'll see in a second here, is really lackluster. The first time I extracted, I was kind of expecting like a wave of enemies to come and hit me or something, something to try and stop me from like getting out of here with all this loot. Again, that's a typical extraction shooter trope, but nope, you press the button, the rocket opens, and you get in the rocket. That's about it. Also, the rocket kind of looks like a wiener, so I guess the game deserves at least half a point, so I'll give it like a 4.5 out of 10 for that, at least. Then there's my outcome. So let's see. Oh yeah, also cryptocurrency. The story of this game is that like there's cryptocurrency basically, and like you're a cryptocurrency like police officer or something. You're like trying to stop the bad guys from mining all the cryptocurrency. I don't really know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if the game itself was a crypto miner at this point. Now, that's kind of mean. That's kind of fucked up. I won't say that. I actually did have those thoughts for a second, just due to the story of the game. I was like, wouldn't that be kind of ironic and funny, actually? My task manager stats don't really seem to hint to that, so I'd say this game probably isn't some Chinese spyware crypto game. Some of the reviews, dude, did look a little bit fishy, though. I won't lie on that front. I don't know if they're paying people. I don't know if it's just because they received the free key from Keymailer like I did, but some of the reviews, the positive reviews I should say, were a little bit fishy. So yeah, that's the end of that mission, and that's pretty much the end of this video as well. After you beat the mission, you go to sleep, and then you pretty much repeat that whole little process there. I'm not going to touch this game again, not in its current state. If it gets some updates, mainly like an FOV slider and some performance updates, I'll revisit it. Until that, at the very least, happens, I definitely can't recommend this game. And yeah, I'm gonna just be blunt, I'm not gonna be playing it again myself. I normally would make these videos a little bit longer, but this is like the first time I've made one of these videos, and I just really couldn't even stick it out any longer because I'm just really not having a good time, unfortunately. Shout out to the devs for giving me this key for free. Shout out to the devs for the work you put into this game. I know game development is difficult, and what you have here relative to what most people would be able to accomplish is pretty impressive. Graphically, I think it looks nice. The art style is cool. The idea behind it is interesting, but it needs to be fleshed out a lot more. I think this game could have used another year in the oven, if I'm being totally honest, before even being released in early access. A couple alpha tests, a couple beta tests. This game could have really used that, and I think this would have released as early access as a much better product. Anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.